I'm very sorry that I kept people waiting. I did not mean to do so. I was busy being vain. And foolishly so, actually. Um because like for some reason I insisted to myself on wearing this new top, which is a corset and blouse in one, when I knew for a fact I would be framed in such a way that you can't fully appreciate what the heck it is I'm actually wearing. If I had sat closer to the camera, I could have worn literally nothing, and you wouldn't have really been able to tell. You would have assumed it was a tube top or something of that nature. So, vanity. I have no other explanation other than pure vanity. Welcome to the vanity stream. How's everybody doing? Well, I hope. Oh, well, people are liking it, so I will take that. Echoey? Huh. Let me just check something. Make sure I don't have more than one. Oh. Hang on. How about now? Okay, because I think the problem was I was also accepting sound from my headset mic, which is sitting over there. So let me know if I'm still echoing, but that should sort that out. Oh, Head Kittens. First of all, love the name. Thank you so much for the super chat. You look very gender today. Thank you. I feel very gender. So, yes, reminder for anyone who is new here. I do try and keep up with the chat live. However, I do not make any promises of doing so. The only thing that will guarantee that I will see your question or comment is a super chat, which will not only get you my appreciation, but you get a little heart from me as well for whatever that's worth, or whatever you decide that's worth. You're setting the price. That's how super chats work. Wasn't Vanity one of Prince's girlfriends? Maybe. Wouldn't surprise me. The British hive mind that exists is telling me your outfit is sinful. Good. I feel like if I can be perceived and seen, and I am pissing off the collective stuck-up sense of British morality, then I have done my job well. Because despite being super British by ancestry, I don't really have that instinct. So it's good to have a barometer. Thank you, Ben. My 60-year-old dad likes Flux and thinks Chips is a great Who writer. I am jealous of your dad. Who's having tea and gingerbread biscotti? Because you're right, Meg. That does sound amazing. How you doing? I'm fine. Page 41 of my 9th fanfic book. Okay. Working your way through that. Like, I have been trying to get back into the habit of writing on a daily basis, which I got out of while I was doing all the editing on my novel, and have been trying to get back into the habit by writing, let's go with spicy shorts, to get back into the habit of writing on a regular basis again. Any opinions on YouTube removing the dislike button? I feel like I got asked this last time. Short version, I get why I see the arguments in both directions. I mean, ultimately, it's not that much of a difference, because really the dislike wasn't really a dislike, not in any meaningful sense, because as far as the algorithm was concerned, interaction is interaction. It doesn't care if you like it or dislike it. You're interacting with it. They're going to boost it as a result, the more interactions there are. And creators on the back end can still see the dislike ratio. So if you're trying to send a message to the creator, it still does that. But it removes the performative nature of the dislike button. It removes the impetus for dislike bombing something. Of course, then the issue becomes, you know, yes, the creator is still aware that you didn't like that thing, but if there's someone who doesn't care on a personal level, like say a corporation who releases a video game trailer that gets a crap ton of downvotes, ultimately they don't care. Like someone like me, I actually do still care about my dislike ratio. So even though it's not publicly viewable, I will still check it. But with some of the entities on YouTube, it just means that they're perhaps a little less accountable because now no one but them sees that lots of people dislike it, and they are not obligated to address that in any way. So, like, there's aspects to both sides. What's your preferred version of water tonight? This is kind of all I have. I need to restock on water in the house, actually. The dislike button isn't gone. It's just the you don't see what the number of dislikes is anymore. I suggested months ago, but I dropped it because of life stresses. But in light of Sondheim's passing, I really want to write my Doctor Who fic take on Sweeney Todd. Ooh, that sounds intriguing. Didn't they do that on Insta? Did Insta have a dislike feature? I don't remember it having it. I mean, they might have. I'm on Instagram. I don't pay as much attention. Have you ever heard of a new game coming out next year called Evil West, where you play a vampire hunter in the Old West, and it's awesome? I have not heard about it. You'll have to forgive my skepticism for any video game that is not out for a year being labeled as awesome, because there's absolutely no way to know that. There's no way to know if a game is any good until you actually get to play it. Trailers tell you nothing. Concepts might have potential. So the concept might be awesome, but whether or not the game will be awesome, who knows? Who knows? Favorite Christmas song? Carol of the Bells. People swapping cocktail preferences. This is, I love it. Everyone's getting, concurrent viewers 69. Nice. It dropped down again. How are things? Things are pretty good. I mean, stressed because, holiday season. I think I am done with my holiday shopping. I'm probably not, but I think I am. So it's that paranoia in the back of my head that I'm going to suddenly realize, oh crap, I didn't do. I watched an interview with Eden Perkins, who played Ed in the final scene of Cowboy Bebop. I feel really bad for them as they're clearly a big fan of the character. Oh yeah, I don't blame them at all. Like especially with an inexperienced and a young actor, a lot of it is going to fall. A lot of blame, not all of it. Sometimes kid actors suck, but you could tell that they were really putting in the effort with what they did. The problem is Ed as a personality and a concept and a physical being is built for animation and does not translate well to live action. And it especially stands out because, they did soften a lot of the physicality of a lot of the other characters to make more sense in live action, but they failed to do it for Ed. They didn't adjust the costume. They didn't adjust the physicality. They didn't adjust the line delivery. They just ported it straight from the anime, which made it just seem so out of place, and it did not fit. It was so aggravating. But that is a fault of writing and, more importantly, directing. Whoever directed that scene owes that actor an apology. Liquor, beer, or wine? Wine is usually going to be my top choice, then liquor, never beer. Never, ever beer. Swap cider for beer, and then it actually is in contention with wine, but never, ever, ever beer. Oh, John Vinyls, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate that immensely. Greetings, Queen Nathaniel. Ha ha! It's funny, I'm so used to everybody saying Vera now, and Nathaniel's fine. I've said it's not a dead name. You can certainly use it, but having Queen attached to it, I rather like that. It is your good friend and advisor, Lady Silica de Brimmy, here to serve thee. Ooh. Well, welcome to the chat. Good lady. Ever heard of the YouTube channel Local 58? Nope, I have not. New Doctor Who hunches? I don't have any. Like, I know that a lot of Doctor Who focused channels during downtime between series run on speculation. They run on theories of what might happen, who might get cast, what the story might be. What my brain just does not work that way. It just really doesn't. It's rare that I can get my head into that kind of space. So I have no thoughts at all. When we have announcements, I'll have thoughts on those. But right now, nothing exists. So what the heck am I going to have a thought on? It's going to be something I make up. And if I'm going to make it up, I'd rather spend my imagination on something that can be mine instead of imagining a version of Doctor Who that will probably never happen. If that makes any kind of sense. Not to knock people who are more speculative. It's just not me. If I'm getting this right, fans are mourning the cancellation of Cowboy Bebop, which they slammed, but if they had watched it more, it wouldn't have been canceled, would it? Are fans mourning the cancellation? Like, I know there are people who are mourning the cancellation of Cowboy Bebop, either because they genuinely liked it or they wanted to see it get better. The latter of which I can understand a bit more than the former, but like, if you enjoyed it genuinely, that's fine. But I found it really painful, and I don't see personally a lot of value in continuing it. Not with the same creative team, at any rate. Lucky you, no constant speculation equals no disappointment. See, you say that, Gozer. Did you watch my reviews of Flux? Because I think I still managed to pull some disappointment out. Like, it can't break my heart. I'll give you that. But, like, I can still be like, oh, come on. Let's see. There's some really cute conversations going on in there. It's lovely. Did you ever get sucked into a collectible hole? You ever fall hard for Polybag comics, Beanie Babies, trading cards, etc.? Would you buy a Doctor Who trading card game if you saw one? To that last question, no. To that first question, in the 90s, I did get into comic book collectible card collecting. This was before everything was a tradable card game, and like they had comic book cards the same way you had baseball cards. They were just of the characters, and I was into that for a couple of years. But that's about it, though. I don't have the attention span to really latch on that hard to any of these things. Even though you stopped doing reviews, did you ever carry on with Inside Number 9? If so, what did you think of the episode with Derek Jacobi doing a director's commentary? I did not continue. Lewis, see, the thing is that it's hard for me to justify sinking time into watching something that I know I'm not going to do reviews on. So I didn't enjoy it enough to do that. Really, at this point, the only time I watch things that I'm not explicitly intending to do some kind of video review on, at least for the break room, if nothing else, is when I watch stuff with my partner, with Liz. We'll pick stuff to watch, and maybe I'll do a review on it, but oftentimes it's just, this is just what we're watching, and that'll be it. But like when I'm on my own, my brain is telling me if you're going to do something, it should be at least slightly productive. So watching something that you know for a fact you are not going to do a review on is a waste of time. That's not necessarily a healthy headspace for me to have, because I do need to get better at stopping working, like legit, because at this point, even my leisure, my brain is sort of wrenching into being in some way tied to work, which is not good for me. And I do need to work on that, but that is where I'm at right now. Odyssey, thank you so much for the super chat. Are you watching Wheel of Time at all? If so, what are your thoughts? I am not. Not that I am boycotting it or have any reason to not watch it, but I never read the books, and it just looked like a fairly decently put together fantasy show. And I don't know. Maybe if I had been jonesing for that kind of material, I might have gone for it, but I'm kind of over epic fantasy as a subgenre. Yeah. And I'm sure it's fine. I've heard decent things about it, but I don't know. Just haven't had a real strong pull on that. You ever read Shakespeare? I was required to repeatedly throughout my school years. So yes, a decent number. Excuse me. Did I know that Juliet Landau, who played Drusilla from Buffy, also played a third incarnation of Romana for Big Finish? I was not aware of that. Well, I didn't enjoy the Snyder Cut, but I had to watch just in order to say, hi, I told you it's mediocre at best. I was surprised how much I enjoyed that. I still don't love it, but I liked it a heck of a lot better than I thought I would. And like sometimes I power through viewings on spite. That is what got me through Cowboy Bebop. That is what got me through Iron Fist. 2 seasons worth, powered by pure spite, because I disliked it so much. But if the spite's not there, sometimes I'll bail. I never finished even that first season of the Netflix Punisher series, because I wasn't angry, I was bored. And boredom doesn't power me through things. Ever read the original Frankenstein? Yes, in college. Did I watch Free Guy? No, I have not gotten to that. I've been waiting for it to show up on some kind of streaming. I bet you it's gonna end up on Hulu though, isn't it? I don't have Hulu. John Vinyls, thank you once more for the super chat. Greatly appreciated. Is there a reason why live action Vicious looks like a weird ass Lemony Snicket version of Geralt of Rivia? The actor that they cast, like, I don't mean to knock a guy for his appearance, because it does seem to just be the way his face is built, but he just he looked uncomfortable. I don't mean like it was uncomfortable for me to look at him. I mean like he had this look at his face like he'd been sitting in a slightly uncomfortable position for like the last half hour and wasn't allowed to shift and adjust. Or actually in the review, I said he looked constipated, that kind of thing. And that might honestly just be his face. And if so, I'm not trying to judge that, but I wasn't compelled by it. Free Guys on Disney Plus. Is it in the US though? Because you need to remember, US and international, what's on Disney Plus is not the same. Because I will bet you, I'm going to check it now because I'm trying to sort that. I think of this quote from Malcolm in the Middle. I expected nothing, but I am still disappointed. I've heard that one. Free Guy. Free Guy is not on Disney Plus in the US. So, there you go. All right, we got some more super chats. Thank you very much, Connor Mitchell. Rewatching Capaldi. Currently, I see why you love him because he's so great. However, he's still second to Tenet for me, but you have great taste in doctors. Well, thank you very much. And like, just because he's my favorite doesn't mean it has to be anybody else's favorite. But I'm glad you're finding a new appreciation. And Meg, Meg, super chat, $6.66. I see what you did there, Meg. Miss you too. Did I hear that Anne, oh my God, why can't I talk? Like, you would assume it's because of this. It's not. I was not pre-gaming. I just can't speak today. Did you hear that Anne Rice died? Sad. I did. Not to be overly callous about it, but she was 80, and while there's still a sadness to it, that to me kind of passes the threshold where like I'm not gonna be all like, oh, that's a tragedy. I'm like, no, she lived a pretty full life. It doesn't mean that like I'm totally cool with the fact that she's gone. I haven't actually read that much Anne Rice. I did read Interview with a Vampire. high school, I think I read that. Um, but I haven't actually read any of her other stuff. But I certainly appreciate her influence. She was a fascinating person. There was a really good story that somebody shared about her after she passed away. Can't remember if it was on Twitter or where it was. But it was a trans person who met Anne Rice at a convention or something, and said to her, your books and how you expressed the anxieties of these vampires helped me come to terms with myself. And not only was Anne Rice like super accepting of this person's identity, she actually got like really excited and was like, I really think there's something kind of sacred about people who transition from one gender to the other or ride the line in between them. And there's all these things in all these other cultures where like the most sacred and exalted figures are beyond gender or they are all genders. And like this story that this trans person shared made Anne Rice seem like so genuinely excited to be able to contribute in that way to someone's life. And, knowing how a lot of younger authors than her have turned out to be absolute shitheels to trans people, it's just nice. It's just nice to hear. I read a lot of Rice's stuff, saw the movies, so many people dying, transitioning. Yeah, I think that's a valid metaphor. The old you dies, you are reborn, and you see the world. You are reborn as a more beautiful version of your truer self, and you see the world through new eyes with new beauty all around you. I mean, it's functional. Gonna be a long day tomorrow, helping out a friend film a live version of Frankenstein for a uni project. Ooh. Well, best of luck to you and your friend with that. The male vampires in the books were a lot more sexually involved with each other than in the movies. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Like Louis and Lestat shared a coffin for a bit. Anne Rice is how I ended up reading Exquisite Corpse by Poppy Z. Bright. Not familiar, but okay. Phoenixing yourself. Oh, that's a good way to put it. I like that. Anne Rice was generally good even after her religious journey. I mean, that's one of the reasons that like hearing that story felt so refreshing because I knew that like she'd gone very back and forth with religion in her life, that she had been religious when she was younger. She had moved away from it, owing to personal tragedy, and then had sort of drifted back towards it later on and even integrated more religious concepts into her work. But to hear, that story that was shared, and like to hear that she didn't adopt the, more hate-driven end of religion, I'm saved, you're all doomed to hell and deserve it. It's just relieving because you worry about that. Non-fandom related question: if you could be born in any other month, what month would you choose? I have no idea. I don't even know how to process that question. Like my brain won't accept the premise of born in a month other than the one I was. I'm like, no, but you were born when you were supposed to be. Like what are we doing? Sorry. Some things my brain just won't let me do. Personally, I never got into Cowboy Bebop as a whole, so the adaptation has little to no value to me. I prefer Space Dandy because I'm a fan of disco, and Dandy is full of disco imagery. I've heard of Space Dandy, never seen that one. Finally got out my video for hopes for the RTD era. I mentioned before that I think you'd agree with one of my points, but disagree with another. I might. I can try and find the time to check that out. No promises, because A, time is limited. B, I have a sieve for a brain. So there you go. Did you know that Maven of the Eventide is a very big Anne Rice fan? No. I would no. 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 Yeah, I kind of suspected. If you ever get a chance, you should really go and see a panto. I went to my local one last week, and one of the cast accidentally said bollocks on stage because of a tongue twister. Christmas pantos aren't a thing in the US. I mean, I'm not going to say that they don't exist anywhere. They might, but like the idea of going to my local panto, that's it's not a thing. It's not a thing here. Like there's the Christmas pageants, but like those are done by grade school kids occasionally in some districts, in some areas, or put on by some churches, which I don't attend. It's just a cultural thing. What you have, I don't have here. Fun fact, in case you were unable to show the relationship, in case they were unable to show the relationship as written and considered rewriting it for the film as a female-male relationship, and would have cast Cher as Louis. Citation needed, but also glad that didn't happen. Have you seen the Netflix adaptation of Hellbound? Have not seen, have never heard of. Not entirely sure what that is. If it's another anime adaptation, I don't know about it. Personal question. Oh, okay. Getting personal now. I've considered myself as pansexual for a little while, but I don't know if I'm legit. Just wanted a second opinion. Don't feel obligated to answer. Well, okay, so there can be a lot of hair splitting within under what I'm going to call the bisexual umbrella. So I'm going to lump in bisexual, pansexual, omnisexual, polysexual, which all mean very similar but very specifically different things. And I'm going to try and see if I can nail it down. So bisexual traditionally means attracted to two genders, most commonly just male and female. It does not necessarily have to be that. And honestly, it doesn't even have to be limited to only two. It can be more than that. Oh, are you headed out, Meg? Oh, I'm glad you stopped in. Mwah. Good to see you. So that's bisexual, but bisexual is also often used as the umbrella term for anyone with attractions to multiple genders. So it's a little bit like trans in that way, because trans is an umbrella term for anyone who identifies as a gender other than the gender they were assigned at birth. And then you get more specific terms: trans man, trans woman, gender fluid, non-binary. They're all types of trans, and non-binary is an umbrella within an umbrella. So, anyways, so bisexual is often used as the umbrella term. Pansexual means that your attractions cross all borders of gender, because the gender doesn't really matter to you. You are attracted to the person more than the specifics of their physical presentation or their body. And there are no limits. A very fine difference, as I understand it, I might be getting slightly wrong, but there's a very fine difference between that and omnisexual. With omnisexual being someone who is also attracted to all genders, but it is not regardless of the gender, it is because of the gender. So, like, how do I put this? Pansexual means that you are attracted to a person and it doesn't even really matter what their body is. Whereas omnisexual means you are attracted to any potential person and you are attracted also to the specifics of their body. It's the difference between saying, I love this person and it doesn't matter what they look like, and going, I love this person and I love what they look like. So if that makes sense, that's sort of the fine difference there. Now there's polysexual, which I don't hear very often because most people tend to just take bisexual if they're going this way, but polysexual means attracted to multiple genders, but not all. Someone who is polysexual are going to have some like, no, not attracted to X. You know, out of, like, let's just throw numbers out of there. Out of these 6 options, I'm attracted to 4 of them, but not 2. So it's a slightly more, finely tuned version of bisexual. Now, if you don't feel that any of those terms are really a perfect fit for you, I would honestly say just go with bisexual. Because the purpose of pansexual, omnisexual, polysexual is for people who feel like bisexual is too broad. It gives them an option for something that is more specific to them than the umbrella term. But if those specific terms don't fit you, you don't have to use them. You can use the umbrella term, that's fine. There's a reason why I am gender fluid, that's my specific identity, but I'll often just say I'm trans. Because I am. Is it as bisexual weird saying you're straight when you are in a straight relationship and gay, vice versa, but almost never bisexual? No. So you're sort of talking about the difference between situational attraction and attraction as a given state of being. I do think both still fall under bisexual, but you're talking about the difference between being potentially attracted to either gender, depending on the circumstances you're in. But it's not like you're going to be in a situation where you're looking at both, a straight hookup and a gay hookup and going, ooh, I want both of these at the same time. I'm attracted equally to both. Your attractions being a little bit more compartmentalized does not suddenly make you not bisexual. It just means that your attraction to both genders isn't a constant. It is something where you're only attracted to one at a time, but it could still be either one or many more than just the two. Because again, way more options than 2. This has turned into identity and a sex ed talk. I'm here for it. I dig it. I like it. Next upcoming series of War Master sees him up against the 10th Doctor. I can't effing wait. I still have to catch up on what's going on with the War Master. That is good stuff, though. Did you know that the actress who played Gozer was the nurse ghost in House on Haunted Hill? I did know that, because I own House on Haunted Hill, and I have, in fact, listened to the director's commentary. There's some great lines in that movie. It's not a good movie, but there's some great lines in that movie that I love. Thank you for the second opinion. Happy to help, if it helped. I hope it helped. I'll assume it helped. My ego says it helped. There you go. I'm a nuanced bisexual for sure. Nice. I dig it. We need proper sex ed. Yeah, don't we all? Well, we all needed it back when, we were 12, but most of us didn't get it. Most people that age still aren't getting it. So, Vera's public television channel. See, living in Vermont, the public radio channel around here is VPR, Vermont Public Radio. It could be Vera Public Radio. We could make that a thing. Actually, talking about Big Finish, don't know when you'll get around to it, but the 9th Doctor stuff is great. I have heard that. Like, I am way behind on Big Finish because while I could justify doing a review on it, I have audiobooks I need to be listening to that I've been commissioned to do that kind of take priority. As a 15-year-old can confirm, that's what I figured. I always think of myself as a tetrasexual. Tetra. How many is tetra? Tetra 4 or 5? What is tetra? Dang it. Tetra. Sorry, that's bugging me. Tetra is 4. It is 4. I was right. Ha! Can you explain the difference between gender fluid and bigender? Yes, and it is, again, one of those things that is a very fine difference. So, gender fluid, which is me, basically means your sense of gender doesn't stay put. It wavers and drifts. And sometimes it can be in a completely feminine place, sometimes a completely masculine place. Sometimes it's somewhere in the middle, and, then you're feeling kind of non-binary. Sometimes it shifts day to day. Sometimes it stays in one place for a while. Sometimes it shifts within the same day, which is frustrating, actually, when that shit happens. But that's gender fluid. You have, and gender fluid is not necessarily the entire spectrum. So, like, for me, when I first started identifying as gender fluid, my sense of self was wavering across the entire spectrum, from male to female and lots of places in between. At this point, it's pretty rare for me to have a completely masculine day. So at this point, my gender fluidity wavers between feeling very, very female and some version of non-binary. So that's gender fluid. Bigender means having a sense of gender that is more than one identity at the same time. So whereas gender fluid, your sense of self wavers, and you might feel different about who you are and how you wish to be perceived within the same day, but you're not feeling like I am both these things simultaneously. Not going to say that never happens, but that is not what your identity is. Bigender, because when your sense of self wanders, you can have like weird Venn diagram crossovers where like maybe it is kind of two things at once, but like that's not your standard. Whereas bigender is like, I am these things at the same time. And that's sort of the difference there, if that makes sense. If you got your hands on a TARDIS, what character from the entirety of fiction would you want to go with as your companion? I think you're misunderstanding what TARDISes do. It's not an escape to the land of fiction. Well, I mean, it was for the second Doctor, but that was by accident. I don't know. I suck at these kind of questions. I really do. From the entirety of fiction. I don't know. The thing is, most of my favorite characters in fiction aren't people I'd actually want to hang out with. Like, I love Zaphod Beeblebrox to death, but he'd be exhausting. So I'm really not sure. Going back and forth on he, they pronouns as they apply to me. Do pronouns tend to be more about presentation, identity, and or third variable? I know it can depend on the person. Well, exactly that. It does depend on the person. So, like, I had a period, again, looking back into my own history, when, for me, my desired pronouns were very presentation dependent. And I used to tell my friends, cue off of whether I'm wearing lipstick. If I'm wearing lipstick, use she, her. If I'm not, then they, them's fine. Or actually, for a while, this was back when I was still accepting he, him. Either one of those is fine. So it used to be for me fairly presentation dependent. These days I'm not, and even if I am in a completely feminine mindset, somebody uses they, them, it's not going to throw me off. It still works for me. So that really is very personal and varies from individual to individual. Apropos of nothing, what does it mean when a grown man makes a whole show about playing pretend with his toys? Well, it depends. How many viewers does he have? Because that is the difference between a someone who has managed to turn their hobby into a career and somebody who just is recording their eccentricities. Have you watched or heard about Arcane? I have. I have one episode left to go. Then I'm going to review it. I like it a lot. I will leave it at that. You referenced it, so have you recently seen The Mind Robber? Recently? No. I saw it years ago. That's one I have to rewatch before I could do a review on it. Excuse me. Regardless of orientation, I can say you always look fantastic. Love your glasses. Keep rocking on. Thank you very much, Cicely. I appreciate that. Let's see. Their view count is in the thousands. Sounds like they found like-minded hobbyists then to me, which is totally fine. I mean, not that it wouldn't be fine if they were just recording their own eccentricity. It's just it would slightly change the nature of the beast. Either is fine. There's actually a comic strip where the master travels to the land of fiction. He meets Moriarty. Moriarty? Oh my god! Moriarty and yeets him over the Reichenbach Falls. But, okay, Rowan, you're burying the lead. You're telling me the master travels to the land of fiction. Did the master meet the master? Because if not, somebody should be fired, because that's the biggest missed opportunity, like, ever. You got me so much more insight on this topic of gender issues, sexualities, and sensibility than on my own social circle and work. Like, sometimes it's hard to parse. And, like, especially if you're stuck looking up, articles or wiki entries or whatever, like, depending on how you learn, it's tricky. And sometimes for some people, the easiest way to move forward is just to talk to someone with a not dissimilar experience to yours, who can relate to where you've been and has a sense of where you might end up. Why do you think the bisexual umbrella is so hard to comprehend in general? I've never gotten what's so hard to get about being attracted to multiple kinds of people. So there's a lot of weird baggage tied up in the bisexual identity, which is very strange because, first of all, statistically speaking, bisexual is the most common queer identity. There are more bisexuals than any other single identity within the LGBTQIA+ grouping. So it is very strange. But the thing is, like I said, there's a lot of strange baggage involved. And unfortunately, a lot of it comes from inside the community. Because there has historically been, and I don't know how bad it is or isn't at this point, but I know that historically there has been a lot of issues around this where people who are gay or are lesbian sort of they view bisexuals with a certain amount of disdain for a couple of reasons. One, they can sometimes feel that they are tourists. More often, they are especially resentful of bisexuals who are in straight relationships, because as far as someone who is gay or lesbian is concerned, you can't be oppressed for your identity because you are straight passing. It's not dissimilar to some of the conflict that goes on in the trans community between passing and non-passing trans people, or at least to my understanding I'm not part of this community, but similar to what I have been made aware of and have some sort of sense of with some of the tension between within the Black community with people of color who can pass as white. There becomes a there becomes a tension within that community, which is really unfortunate to see. It never stops being frustrating. So like that, unfortunately, is at the root of a lot of it. And there's still a lot of ingrained shame and ingrained fear from all directions. There's so many straight people who have some degree of same-sex attraction that they repress and push down and don't grapple with because they're afraid of what that means about them, and they're afraid of how they'll be judged because, they were part of the most common group, the group in power, i.e. straight people. But, now suddenly, oh God, what if I'm something else? What if I'm something that I'm going to be judged for? I'm going to be ostracized from the group I thought I was part of for. Or what if I'm not accepted into this group that I might actually have a place in, which, unfortunately, with bisexuality, is a fear with some merit. And that's not restricted to just sexuality. That can happen with transness too, because people who are some kind of trans, and again, remembering trans is an umbrella term for anyone whose gender identity does not completely match what they were assigned at birth. And any deviation from that makes you trans. But there is a similar kind of resentment towards any trans people who aren't planning to medically or legally transition, because there's this sense that, well, like, you're never going to go through what I have to go through with people looking at me and immediately clocking that I'm trans and me having to jump through all these legal hoops. And it's really unfortunate because it's a resentment that helps no one. All it does is harm. It harms the people it's directed toward, and it harms the people who are experiencing it and feeling it. It doesn't do them any good to be resentful of someone who they see as having it, quote unquote, easier than they do. That just puts you in a bad place. And unfortunately, it's something that's pretty prevalent. So folks in straight passing relationships are functionally straight and do not have access to queer spaces. No, but that is the position of a frustratingly high number of queer spaces and queer individuals. Oh, Tracy, thank you very much for the super chat. Hey, anyone with any interest in musical, just saw Tick Tick Boom and it's friggin' amazing. I have been meaning to get to that. I've been meaning to get to a lot of things. But yeah, I should watch that. Because I heard from my kid's mother, who has already seen it, and who introduced me to the musical, that it was very smartly adapted. Like, they cut some of the songs that frankly aren't that good, because Tick Tick Boom has a couple of very good songs, but also is undercooked in a number of ways. One thing I've been a little unsure on, what does queer actually mean? I just always remember it being used in school as an insult for gay, and obviously that's wrong. Queer at this point has been reclaimed, and it is frequently used as both an umbrella term for the entire LGBTQIA plus community, as well as a specific identity that some people choose to have because they don't want to call themselves gay or bisexual or trans, or they just go, I'm queer, understanding that they are part of that group and leaving it at that. So at this point, it was a slur. Some people argue it still is. I say that it is not. I say it has been, at this point, thoroughly reclaimed by the community. Can it still be used as a slur? Yes. So can just the word gay. Like, my partner works at a grade school. There are still usually young men, boys, who say gay as an insult. That doesn't make gay a slur. It's that there aren't that many words that are beyond reclamation. There are some that are, or at least beyond reclamation of anyone other than very specific group. The N-word being the big one, because that word never had a meaning until it was used to ostracize and put down and belittle and dehumanize a group of people. Queer actually had a meaning before that. It just meant unusual, strange, slightly out of the ordinary. It didn't really start being applied to gay people till like Oscar Wilde's time. New type JB Lee, thank you very much. In media, there should be more LGBT people of color representation, because LGBT rep can be too white focused. Hopefully that doesn't sound awkward. No, I know exactly what you mean. Intersectionality is a thing, and we have a tendency with a lot of media representation to, Discord. Thank you, Carolyn. As soon as I'm done with this question, I will get right to that. Thank you very much. So yes, intersectionality is a thing that in general representation needs to get better about, because there is a habit in representing more groups to have someone be just one thing. So like, we're gonna have a character who's black and a character who's gay, but the rest of the things you leave as the default. So the black character is also a straight cis male, because those are the defaults in the culture producing the entertainment. We're gonna have a character who is gay, who is going to be white, because white is the default within this culture. And you still, that is very much still what is most common. Now, I do think intersectionality, while it is something that probably should be done deliberately a lot more than it is something that I do think will come about naturally as representation in general of any and all of these groups becomes more common. Because part of the reason that these characters get narrowed down to just being one thing is because it's still presumed that the mainstream audience won't, they need to be brought on board with whatever that one thing that is considered to be off the standard template is. And so the idea of throwing multiple things at them is like, oh no, that's too much. You can't throw all that at them. So having a black, trans, gay character with a disability, oh, that's too many things. No, that's too much. We have to focus on one of these and just get that right. And there's a certain understanding there where, you narrow your focus so that you don't fuck it up. But as representation becomes more common and more creators and more of the mainstream audience becomes comfortable with more of these distinctions, I think we will start to see a lot more intersectionality, or at least I hope we will. So I need to check the Discord, which is the reminder that there is a Council of Geeks Discord. It is a Patreon exclusive perk, patreon.com/Council of Geeks. $2 a month will get you access to the Discord, and we'll be very happy to have you there. And there is a channel for asking questions for the live stream so that you don't have to do the super chats. And there's lots of other stuff besides, lots of things on specific fandoms or genre fandoms. We have channels about writing, music. We have an NSFW channel. Just saying. God, I'm terrible. All right, I got a couple questions from the Discord. So I'm not sure if you've seen any of these, but choose one of the following 70s sci-fi films to be remade and why. Logan's Run, The Black Hole, or Zardoz. All very different. Don't know if you have seen any. If not, go off reputation or go random. I'm going to say Zardoz simply because I would like a version of Zardoz where I at least have a prayer of understanding what in the hell is going on. Because I feel like there's something going on there that's interesting, but I have no idea if that's actually true. Runner-up would be Logan's Run, because I think there's still some value to be had in its overall allegory. Last would be The Black Hole. It was largely a special effects spectacle for the time. Its actual story is kind of meh. And one more. Have you ever seen Horrible Histories, Ghosts, or Yonderland? If not, Horrible Histories might be good to watch with the kid. Maybe save the other two till she's older. I have heard of Horrible Histories. I think it was a book series when I was younger. I might have even read some. Either that or I'm confusing it with something else. I don't know. But I might look into that. My kiddo is very, very picky. We're currently watching, she and I together are currently watching Steven Universe. First time for both of us. Not very far into it. Don't give me spoilers. Don't ask my opinion on stuff. We're not even through the first season. Oh, Teresa. Oh, thank you for being you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Teresa. I really, really appreciate that. Zardoz was a riot. I only ever saw the opening bits of Zardoz with the giant floating head going, "The gun is good." And then the other stuff after that. Vera, have you ever heard of Quantum Queer? I have not. Definitely time to give Zardoz a rewatch. I haven't seen it all the way through. To be honest, some of my favorite characters aren't really the type you'd like to hang out with, but because I'm insane, I'd probably take Jinx as my companion or Faith from Buffy. I think you'd have better luck with Faith than with Jinx. I think you are begging for trouble taking Jinx as your companion. Holy cow! You like to live on the edge. Whoo! Any opinions on Warhammer 40K? It sure is a thing that exists. Yes, sirree, Bob. It is indeed that. Yeah, that's all I've got. Thoughts about the superhero western specifically from DC to use characters like Vigilante, Jonah Hex, El Diablo, and Apache Chief as a television series? It would have to be done very carefully because like a lot of depictions of that era have traditionally been steeped in some elements. It's not a terrible pitch though, at least as a something to try and strive for. Wisely omitting the highly clippable bit from that. I feel like I should allow myself to just do more stuff that people would have fun clipping out of context. Yeah. I feel like I do that a decent amount on Twitch. Not enough people clip me though. Watch me on Twitch tomorrow morning, 10:30 a.m. Eastern. I'll be playing Death's Door. Watch me, clip me, make fun of me, humiliate me, tell me I've been bad, I've been dirty, punish me. Okay, so that was a thing. Have you seen History of the Entire World? I guess. Showed it to my nibblings. They loved it. They still quote it years later. Oh, that was an internet animation, wasn't it? Like I think I saw that. If it's what I think it is, I saw it back in college. Either that or something that I don't know what it is. So take your pick. To be honest, yeah, no, I read that already. Want to give you a big hug. I'd make for an awkward hug right now with the corset on. Rock hard abs, instantaneous as long as you cinch up. I'll say about Steven Universe is hot damn is it good, especially season 2 onward. I have heard that the better stuff comes later, and like I'm enjoying what it is so far, just fine. In answer to your question, Moriarty was the master in the land of fiction in that story. That is disappointing. Good to know, Mountain Heart, because I too am good with that. Have you seen any Mel Brooks films? If so, do you have a favorite? I have, and my nostalgic favorite is Spaceballs. I'm not going to say it's his best movie, but it's the one I go back to and rewatch the most. Do you think zero punctuation is the perfect thing for us ADHD folks? I try to keep my videos short to do the same. See, I want to say yes, except I have a habit of putting on as background noise the compilations of like the 4-hour long whole year's worth of stuff. So, like, I feel like I'm defeating the point there. I mean, I seem incapable of having an opinion in less than 18 minutes anymore. So I admire anyone who can make their point and get out. I mean, I say that. I do the shorts occasion. Like, I've got TikTok for my short burst thoughts. Vera, be careful what you ask for. I know exactly what I'm asking for, Carolyn. You're assuming that wasn't very carefully calculated, which would be a safe assumption because I am no mastermind. If a piece of media can be perceived as problematic, do you feel there was a cutoff date for the excuse it was made in a different time? It's not that I feel there's a cutoff date for that. I feel it's not really a valid excuse at all, at least in the way that it's usually deployed. Frequently, it's used as a way to just be like, we're not going to talk about the problematic elements because they weren't problematic when it was created. But you're grappling and you're experiencing the piece of work now when those things are problematic. And I think anyone who deploys that has a misunderstanding of what is usually trying to be accomplished by pointing out problematic elements of a creator or of a work. And it's not to say the work is bad. It's to say, if you're going to engage with this work, please be aware of these things and do not just digest them uncritically. And to say, well, it wasn't problematic at the time, is in no way an answer to that concern. It's talking about something else completely, as if the whole idea of labeling something problematic is to condemn it to the dustbin of history. And you're trying to fish it back out, like, no, it was fine. Like, no, that's not the, I mean, at least for me, for my purposes, I just really did grab my own chest there, right there. There are probably some people out there who use the term problematic and the concept of problematic works and problematic creators as a reason to just completely discount and disregard something and to toss it into the dustbin of history. That's not how I approach that kind of work, though. So I can't really speak for people who do that, although I'm sure they're out there. New type JB Lee, once again, thank you. I should wrap up soon because I have a spicy accounting site I should be doing a shoot for later on this evening. What's she talking about? If you know, you know. Do you think more LGBT characters should be played by actors who are LGBT themselves? Because lots of gay and lesbian characters too often played by straight actors. Yes, I do. I think in general, most identities are best played by the people who share that identity. I'm hesitant to use that as an absolute in all cases. Like I draw a pretty hard line on trans people. I draw a pretty hard line on disabled people. Able-bodied people shouldn't be playing disabled people. And cis people shouldn't be playing trans people. But I don't think the severity of the issue is the same with each single part of the LGBTQIA plus spectrum. What I will say, though, is if you're going to cast outside of the specific identity, it would be nice to, at the very least, still cast within that grouping. So, like, I'd have way less issue with a non-binary person playing a, say, a binary trans character, like a trans woman, than I would with a cis person playing a trans woman. So I think it's a matter of degrees rather than absolutes. There's sort of a scaling of here's the ideal, here's the do not do, and then there's steps in between that lean more towards okay, like that's okay, or like so like, you know, getting a cis person who's gay to play a trans person, no, doesn't really help. I mean, it's probably slightly better than having a straight cis person, but not by much. But having a non-binary person play a trans man or a trans woman, it's like, it's not ideal, but it's better. It kind of is a spectrum and a gradient. Other memorable moments are the master killing Shere Khan with the tissue compressor and then summoning the War of the Worlds tripods to wipe the other fiction characters out. The Land of Fiction really does feel like something built for Big Finish, where the constraints of a budget of having to actually bring this to life visually is not an issue. Do you think that the Doctor Who New Year's special will have the Doctor open the fob watch, or do you think that storyline is dead and done? I think that will be punted to the Easter special, at a guess. The only reason I have that as speculation is because I don't have to put too much thought into that one. I should wrap it up, though. I want Steph Sterling and Vera to tag team the Sonic movie. The idea of tag teaming anything with Steph Sterling can have a multitude of meanings, given that, you know, they are also a wrestler, so there's tag team in that sense. They are poly, so there is tag teaming in other senses. Uh, like I adore stuff a lot. I don't want to give the impression that I have a closer relationship with them than I do. I hesitate to even say that I have a relationship with them at all. We really only spoke the one time for the video that I made that they participated in, but they were really lovely to speak with. They were very easy to talk to, and I'd love the opportunity to do something with them again. But you know, oh, Jesse popping in out of nowhere just to tell me how good I look. Hey, girl, I see you. Oh, bookworm, bookworm of the fandom, sneaking in there last minute. Thank you so very much. You get a heart. I'm so excited you finally got to Steven Universe. It's such a good show. What kinds of musics are your musics? Oh my God, why can I not talk? What kind of music is your favorite to listen to? And slightly serious question, can I pay you to do a review of a music album? My tastes in music are like my taste in many things, thanks to ADHD. Very scatter and very shallow. I have a shallow appreciation of many different types of music. There's a lot of pop I like. There's a lot of rock I like. There's a little bit of metal I like. I like a lot of show tunes and Broadway style stuff. I love movie scores and soundtracks. Ditto video games. So yeah, I'll have like random one-off rap songs or country songs that I like, even though those aren't genres I really get into. And yes, you can pay me to do a review of a music album. I was commissioned to review a single song last year, I think. Might have been earlier this year. I can't remember now. So, like, there's precedent. You certainly can. Have you heard of Gray and Blue, aka The Ballad of Batman? It's a Western-style ballad sung by John DiMaggio and is pretty damn catchy. I have not heard that. Come now, we all know you want to wrap it up because Eliza stood off camera with the riding crop. Shit. Sorry, honey, they know. No, yes. Yes, of course. Was she joking? Was she serious? Who knows? Oh, and one last thing, because I'm insane. Oh, you Lewis, you keep reposting the same thing twice. That's the second time you've done it. But yes, okay. I am gonna wrap it up. If you want to continue with the nonsense that is my rambling streams of thought, twitch.tv/Council of Geeks tomorrow morning, 10:30. Also at some point tomorrow, I'll have out my review of the latest episode of Hawkeye, because that'll be out. And you know, Saturday. Saturday will be a ranking of all the Spider-Man movies, which means I need to get my butt to the theater to see Spider-Man No Way Home. Busy week. Plus, I need to rehearse for burlesque stuff. I got a lot going on. And like I said, I got pictures to go take. So thank you all for stopping in. Vero, I can't thank you enough for your repo vid. Oh, thank you, Mountain Harpy. I'm glad you liked it. So everybody, I hope that you have a good time. Favorite Christmas movie? Love Actually. So I hope that you have a good time, a good day, a good week, a good season, a good month, a good remainder of the year. I hope that it treats you well. I want you to remember that you are beautiful, you are valid, and you are loved. You are the council. I just run the meeting. So until next time, this council is adjourned. Macau!